So endothelial biomedicine was an idea that I had a few years ago where I felt it was necessary to promote an awareness among scientists and clinicians about the importance of the endothelium as a systemically integrated organ system. And I felt that to promote that awareness, that it was important to bring in multiple branches of science. So the uniqueness of the book comes from the fact that not only is it focused on the molecular and cell biology of the endothelial cell, but also the biology, physiology, and pathophysiology of endothelial cells from different vascular beds, so that we have components that are related to endothelial cells from the lung and endothelial cells from the brain, and you go through the different traditional organ systems, and there are detailed chapters related to each of those vascular beds. But more than that, it's a book that brought in other fields, so that there's significant sections that discuss the history of medicine, the history of endothelial biology, the history of cardiovascular medicine is one angle. A second angle is the evolution of the endothelium in the cardiovascular system. So to bring in, I brought in a lot of chapters that draw on our knowledge of comparative physiology and anatomy across species and across time. And then a third kind of unusual outside-the-box component that I brought into the book was complexity theory, and this whole idea of network theory and dynamical systems modeling, and the use of metaphors to describe the endothelium. So the effort here was kind of to jumpstart the field and to have something in that book that was palatable and interesting to many, many different fields, and have people start to talk about and to think about the endothelium in new ways. So it was kind of unique in that, in those fashions. It was a little bit of an outside-the-box attempt to bring many, many different fields together in a way that felt thematic and integrative. I think today that our compartmentalization of the body is along the lines of very traditional organ-specific disciplines. So we have cardiologists, and we have nephrologists, and we have pulmonologists, we have neurologists. But I think what we're beginning to appreciate are patterns of communication between different organ systems that cross traditional boundary lines. And I think the vasculature is one classic example of that, where we have diseases of the vasculature that affect multiple organs and multiple vascular beds at the same time. And in the absence of an integrative discipline, except pediatrics, which does look at the body in a holistic way, but in the absence of integrated ways of looking at the human body in adults, things get missed and things fall through the cracks. And I think that that's the value of vascular and endothelial biomedicine. I think the one concern of endothelial biomedicine, so I remember approaching somebody to do a chapter on pulmonary hypertension, for example, and this individual's response is, well, I don't want to write a chapter on pulmonary hypertension viewed through the lens of the endothelium, because it's more than an endothelial disease. It involves the smooth muscle cell layer of the blood vessel. It involves the whole blood vessel. And so one argument may be that looking at the endothelium in isolation is a mistake, because the endothelium communicates with many other components of the blood vessel wall, and maybe we should be thinking about the vasculature as an organ system. And that argument has its merits. But again, my goal was really to promote, for better or for worse, an awareness of the endothelium as kind of the standalone entity that deserved recognition in its own right.